Hi, I'm Daniel G. Garza, actor and podcast host. I have some cool friends, each with different backgrounds, diverse ideas, and opinions. I look forward to spending time with them and sharing a meal, because every meal is full of great conversations. A lot of them I wish were recorded. I finally did, and I want you to join us. So let's have lunch with the guys.
Hey everybody, my name is Kai Kalama. I'm a full-time musician. I live here in San Juan Capistrano, California. Glad to be here with the dudes.
Cool.
Guys.
I'm Clark Olson, and I make small batch hot sauce out of Laguna Beach. Yeah, happy to be here.
Hi everyone, Austin Armstrong. I'm a digital and video marketer for the healthcare industry, but also work in a couple other industries as well. And I'm from Fullerton, California.
Hello there, my name is Giovanni Labile. I'm originally from Italy, but I've been living here for 12 years. I'm from Laguna Niguel now. I don't know if you can tell by the accent. Laguna Niguel accent is. And I'm the GM of this restaurant, Laguna Beach Brewery, and here we are with the guys.
Yes, when I mentioned thank you to the folks at Laguna Beach Brewery and Grill for hosting us today. One of the things, and I think I've told all you guys, is that I'm friends with people because I'm impressed by them, and I fall in love with guys and girls because of the work that they do or the passion that they have for life. And you guys have always impressed me with your entrepreneurship and the effort and the passion that you put into your work. So that's one of the reasons I invited you guys to come and join me for lunch.
Thank you.
Start with you, Kai, musician.
Yes.
The level of stress or the level of work that you have to put into it, how's that?
Well, it varies on, the application. I do a lot of private parties, but I also do a lot of weddings. So weddings, especially for preparation, you have to, you're calling the client, you're calling them asking, what do you want to hear when you're coming down the aisle? All these like really, really important things in life that you're going to remember for the rest of your life. You're like making sure that this is the right thing for them. So it can get very stressful. And even like day of, like if you mess up the order of the songs you're supposed to sing, it can get, you don't want to ruin this person's memory of their best day and stuff like that. So it can get stressful, but over the years, preparation has really helped, just being, talking to them very early about what their preferences may be, whether it be a wedding, a restaurant, corporate event or whatever, just really being very open and being almost overly asking about, what they want.
And right.
Do you have any crazy wedding stories? just interested, like has a bride or a groom ever like freaked out on you?
Well, not really, actually, to be
Okay.
honest, but I will say that like the second or third wedding we played was for some friends of ours. We didn't know them crazy well, but I was drinking a lot at the time when we were playing. I don't do it anymore, but let's just say I ended up on top of a table with the bride's father, and I realized I was like, oh, I don't know these people very well. I should probably get down.
Okay.
They didn't ask us back. So.
So no runaway brides or anything?
No, thankfully.
Now, for you, Clark, you started your own company, but you make a big batch of stuff and then it doesn't work. Like, has that happened?
Yeah, I usually start with smaller batches and testing, and then kind of go from there and work on getting it right in the bigger batches. But yeah, a lot of preparation goes into that, and a lot of testing, a lot of batches that have been way too spicy, so or not spicy enough, or too thick, or what have you. So yeah, it's always fun in testing, and then it's pressure's kind of on when you gotta take it bigger.
But it's all on you.
Yes, yeah. So I have some help in the kitchen now. Very grateful for their help too. But they're all my recipes and everything. Started out of Laguna a couple years ago. It's called Mago Hot Sauce. Check out our website. A lot of cool recipes on there. And I do a couple farmers markets every week, so definitely very busy. But it's been fun, and we're steadily growing.
And for you, Austin?
Yeah, so in the digital marketing space, my stressors may seem silly to some other people because, some of it involves the constant changing pace of social media platforms. So if Facebook changes their algorithms, it's like, what do I do now? It's,
Right.
our reach just plummeted, stress.
Oof.
But just staying on top of that. But it's always interesting to me too. I love social media. I love marketing in general. So it's always been interesting. But definitely some of the stressor points are working with the individual clients and just being result driven. I mean, that's the ultimate goal for them. That's why they hire you as the marketer, because they want you to get them results, get them brand awareness, get them admits, clients. And
Right.
if you're underperforming or it takes a little while to build up that steam, sometimes the client gets a little upset. You have to talk them down and keep them happy and keep them motivated to want to continue going with you.
And the thing is, lately, everybody complains. Well, not everybody. I don't. But a lot of people complain about social media, and social media is taken over. Social media is stopped the conversation, which is not true because I have conversations with the guys. But then people still want to be upfront. People want to be Googled or found
Right,
out, right? How-
Yeah, and part of the issue too is they want the result, but they don't understand the steps and the process to actually get to that point. Even a lot of so-called influencers that appear to be instant successes overnight, you don't see the years of the process that goes up to that point. The hours and days and weeks and months and years spent putting into that, staying up until midnight, waking up at 4 or 5 a.m., putting in the work, responding to comments, creating content around what people are asking for. And it's that constant grind, but it's in that grind that you find that love and that passion for it.
I've been up till 4 o'clock in the morning,
Yeah.
and then slept for a couple hours, and then I'm up at 7. People are like,
Yep.
"Are you still up?" I'm like, "No, I took a nap, basically." But it takes a lot of work to email people and contact people.
Mhm.
So don't dog social media. It's a lot of work to get into.
But it's successful when you do it right.
Yes, it's really awesome when you start getting
Great rewards.
my HIV page, which is it's become international now. I get messages from folks in the Philippines and Africa who don't have access to information, and they'll contact my page. So I'm up all night. Thank you, Google Translator, because I'm translating from different languages to get them the information that they need. And because it's a different time zone, I'm up to 3 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
And then Gio, hello, sir.
Hello there.
I've worked in restaurants a lot in my 20s, so I kind of know.
A couple weeks ago.
A couple of weeks ago, yes. I just turned 21. But
Happy birthday.
Tell us about your stressors.
Ooh, working for a small restaurant is there's so much to do. There is the social media aspect of it. That you have to wear all these hats basically, and make sure that everything is coming together when it comes to the preparation of the employee, to make sure they are on point and then they're on time and the food is coming out right and the drinks are good, and stocking. There is just so much that you have to do in a small business, and that is the bad and the good at the same time, because it helps you develop skills that working in a 9-to-5 job for a corporate you will never have the chance to learn, right? Because you're just there doing one thing from the moment you get there until the time you leave.
Yeah.
In the restaurant, you basically have to improvise a lot. The kitchen gets backed up, and then you learn how to snake and clean the plumber. You become a plumber, basically, right? And just difficulty. Some people have special requests, and you probably not acquainted with that. Allergies or whatever it is, and then you learn that, and you learn how to take care of people, and then maybe there is a special event, like tomorrow night we have, an event for the chamber, and that needs their own setup. You got to move tables, and it's just constantly. It's never one thing in a restaurant. It's always 100 things going at the same time.
And I think that's one thing that folks, when you go out to eat, it's not just you put your order in and it goes in. It's everything. But so be kind to your servers. And I've been here when you've been working. Let me tell you, all these guys are hardworking, but I've seen you in action. I come in and he's running around and doing everything. How do you manage your stress level throughout the day?
I tend to, when I'm really stressed or when I have just way too many things jumbled up in my brain, I do like a 15 to 20 minute meditation. So I just kind of like put my headphones in, put some white noise on, and just like lay back. And I may not actually go into like a, hypnotic state or whatever you might call it.
You know, start flying.
No, maybe.
I don't think you're doing it right.
Come back down.
But like it just it quiets the mind. Even if there's stuff going on in your brain, there's always stuff going on. But it helps me to kind of make sense of what's going on in my head at the time, so I can kind of just see things and put them in the right order, so I can I don't know, make it through.
Yeah, I mean, for me, it's just trying to take those moments to be fully present. Like Kai's saying, breathing is a big part of it. If I'm not working out as much, I definitely notice my stress level can just go up a lot easier. But yeah, taking that time for yourself, exercise, getting good sleep, eating well, I think that really is the foundation for me.
Now, before I go to you, you have kids, right, Joe? Because I'm kind of, before you answer, I'm kind of thinking, running a restaurant with kids on the weekend, still trying to have a couple time with your partner, with your wife. How does all this sound to you?
It's definitely, I don't have the time to do the things they do. I'm just like, listening to them. I'm like, wow, that must be nice. You have a time to take off in the middle of the day. That's great. Even though it sounds like you have kids, that is actually my recharging time. When I'm home, I think like I'm plugging, inside the wall, and I'm recharging. Just spend time with them and talk to them, and because literally, like, I went to bed at 3 a.m. yesterday, and I started working at 10 a.m. So my baby didn't see me at all. This morning I was leaving, she woke up and she had a breakdown. Daddy, where you going, right? That kind of breaks your heart, and you gotta go there and just hug her a little bit, talk to her, and wish her a good day, and call her two, 3 times, when I can. I don't spend a lot of time for myself. There are moments I like to, for example, I'm working, and I just love knowledge. I love to listen to the most random things, and the internet is incredible, YouTube especially. You can truly, what do you want to know? And you just Google it. You do your job and listen to stuff, and I walk out less ignorant than I was, and the day before. So that's my my time. When the restaurant is closed and I'm doing my paperwork, that is my geo time.
Right. Because we're all coupled, right? We all have partners. So that makes it, I know that at one point, before I got, for those of you that follow me, before my cancer diagnosis, I thought me and Christian, my partner, were good. I'm a workaholic. He agrees with it. We're good. Like, you do what you need to do, but I enjoy work. And when I was in the hospital, then one of the nurses asked us, like, you guys are pretty solid. I was like, yeah, we're good. The nurse leaves, and Christian turns to me and says, we're not good. Like, I'm usually your plan B. And this is like 2-3 years into the original, because I don't want to be plan B. I'm plan A. And the reason he brought that up is because one day at a chiropractic appointment, they called me for a job, and we were supposed to go to the movies the next day. And I was like, oh yeah, I'll be there. And he's like, we're going to the movies. I'm like, but it's a job. And the nurse was standing there. She's like, you'd rather go work than go to the movies. I'm like, doesn't everybody? And they're like, no. So that's when I realized I had an issue. I'm not sure if it was avoiding the intimacy, which I do have problems with, but I'd rather go on and work. But then that created all that other layer of stress. Does that make sense?
Maybe to a lesser point, but like my wife, so I grew up watching movies, like I was a kid who grew up in the desert, so it was too hot outside, and I love watching movies, and I could just sit down and just watch a movie. Like, I could watch like 2 movies in a row if I really wanted to, if I had the time. Obviously don't really have the time anymore, but You know, when we sit down or watch like a show or something like that, my wife would be like, "Man, I could be doing like so many other things right now," you know, and I'm like, "That is true, but to just do nothing together right now, you need that, you know, you need to be in the same place with the person that you want to be with, and even if it's doing nothing, like the fact that you're there together, doing nothing together, is meaningful, and you know, like." You don't need to worry about being productive at those times, you know, like that is being productive in your relationship.
Yeah, I think it's important too to figure out and have those conversations with your significant other, like what you actually want. Like if you want to sit there and you know watch a movie and decompress, but maybe they don't want to do that too. Like make that time for both of them so you both are completely happy.
For sure.
How
Yeah,
about
and
you?
figure out what you guys both like to do
Mm-hmm.
and do that when you have that free time. And again, stepping away from work is very important when you can. It's not always easy, but I notice that I'm a lot more productive when I'm able to take a little bit of time off, even if it's not much. You know, and wearing a lot of hats and having to kind of run everything is really tough sometimes, but you flat out need your own time, and you need some time with your girlfriend, with whoever, you know, you're with.
I remember when both my parents worked when I was a kid, so I would come home after school and pretty much take care of myself. But the moment they walked in the door, I was like, "Here's my homework. Here's what I need for tomorrow. Can you sign this?" And my parents would just kind of look at me like, "I'm about to kill you. Like, shut up." And I think I learned. It took me a little while to learn, but because I used to go to the babysitter, and once I was on my own, like give them a little minute, like just let them be. So I grew up with that. It's like you go to work, you come home, don't talk to me, give me a couple of minutes, and take a nap, and then we can. Because I'm horrible with the facial expressions, and Christian will totally back me up. As soon as I get, because you guys live together, right?
We all live together, yes.
Yes. With your partners. Yes,
Five
they're all,
guys in one
I found
house,
them all
yeah.
in one house.
It's lunch with the guys, dinner
Dinner
with the guys.
Right? Oh, God.
By the way, you left it
Get no
I just
help.
call one phone number and they all answer it. Christian and I live apart. So, but when we're together in the same spots, I walk in the door and it's like, don't talk to me right now. Like I just drove like
Oh, man.
2 hours in LA traffic. The last thing I want to do is hear about fill in the blank.
For sure.
Yeah.
And he gets frustrated because the first thing I do is sit down and grab my phone because I haven't been able to touch it while I'm driving because you're not supposed to touch and drive. But do y'all get that? I mean,
Yes.
That just actually happened. I asked my wife for the new year. I don't know where it came from. I'm like, what's one thing I can do for you that will make you feel more special, connected to me, you know, like more loved? And
That's a
she's-
great question just to even ask.
And I like really not trying to toot my own horn or anything,
No,
but I was
no.
like, dude, that's pretty good.
Like not a lot of people even
make the rest of us look bad. Thank you, Kai.
Yeah.
But she said, you know, like when I come home from work, like I just need just like a little time, like just a little time to transition from this part of my day to this part of my day. And I get excited to see her because I work at night, you know, I'm Mr. Mom, I'm taking care of the house, I'm taking care of the kids, and then she comes home. So she's like, if I could just have that little time, it would be everything. And I'm like, that to me, like, that is the simplest thing to tweak that
Yeah.
will bring so many good things out of it, you know?
Yeah,
Um,
that communication is so key. It's so important. I'm not married. I've been in a relationship for 2.5 years now, but like that's something I'm constantly trying to work on too. Is having that open communication, how we can better that little thing. Like everybody's looking for something different, and sometimes we need that time to de-stress from the day. And then where they're at, and they want to communicate immediately as soon as they walk in the door. And it's finding that balance.
Totally.
I get that, but also, see, it's funny at times. The way he's done is also important. Because, yeah, I need a minute, but like greetings, it doesn't take much.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So a nice hug, a kiss,
Yeah.
miss you, love you. And then the thing is, like, sometimes because we've been with someone for so long, we just somehow start treating them different from what we would with strangers, right? We're like, with strangers, we're
Yeah.
really kind and like polite, but then like with that person that you shared a special connection, your life with, sometimes you're kind of emo. right?
I treat you like crap because I love you.
Right. And like that's something that like I learned in my marriage is, you know, if you wouldn't do that to a person that you don't know, why would you do that to your wife, right?
Yeah,
like
it's a
sometimes
great
I was
point.
like, kind of, you know, that was not really nice of me. Like I had to go and maybe she didn't even pay attention to it, but you know, for me it's like you gotta give the example. You know, like my kids are watching, and it's important sometimes to do it right. I mean, do it. Like I need it. Like sometimes I just pretend I'm taking a dump.
Whatever you gotta do.
It's just like I really have to go, babe. I love you, babe. And I was like 20 minutes down. I was like, I eat a lot. I mean, pizza and
I've been
tacos.
holding
You
it all day
know,
long.
It's pizza and tacos.
the pizza instead of tacos.
Oh, man.
It was a mess.
Like I was talking just a minute ago about learning some of the things from my dad. Obviously I have my parents. I learned things from both of them, obviously, because my parents worked at the same places at the same times. What traits did you learn from your parents that you don't do now or that you do now?
Ooh, that's a good
Communication, like we've been talking about, I think was a big one. Just being open with each other, and yeah, I mean taking that time. My parents go on a walk every single morning together, and they
awesome. I love
both
that.
work really really hard, but that's their time, and they get up at the crack of dawn, and they prioritize that before they do anything else, so they get it over with. So nothing else can really come in the way of that. Which, you know, I'm trying to implement that as far as my exercise workout schedule. Just get up early and get it done, because then there's nothing else that, you know, you don't need to do that later. You have work to do, you're doing that, and you don't, there's no, oh, I didn't work out today, I, you know, feel crappy or any of that. You've already done it. But yeah, communication I think is the number one that I've learned from that.
Cool.
In my opinion, being present. I unfortunately didn't grow up in a positive environment. Parents got divorced at a young age. It was a really, really stressful childhood growing up. Save that for another topic. But from that, I've learned to be positive and be present and be a better person.
Well, I think learning can also come from things they do wrong. It's never been like, oh wow, they take a walk at crack of dawn.
That sounds like a perfect
They're
marriage.
cracking things.
They're doing really well.
I
I'm
bet.
I was
We
like,
should have
man,
them on
that's, it's awesome.
We
Like,
should have them on the show now.
Yeah.
All of you out.
dude, I watched that movie. It was great. And you know, so I learned things not to do from them.
Yeah.
Like, you know, I saw certain things from my dad, or you know, the way he talked to my mom. And again, he changed. He's actually a great, you know, listener now. And
What
like,
do you think triggered that?
I think, you know, my mom got fed up, and my dad got wise
Okay.
with time, because fundamentally he's a great man. You know, we are a byproduct of our childhood, and he's, you know, at times his father was abusive, and he started working when he was 4 years old in a very, you know, South Italy, you know, mafia run, and he had to face a lot of challenges, and he basically grew up to be a brute, I think, and I always saw in my father I think he's the person that he is now. I think what he was when he was younger was just a consequence of his, you know, life choices and bad environment.
And you and I were talking at one point about our parents. We were very similar because in most Latino homes, my dad was in charge of the house as far as the world was concerned. But in reality, my mom was the one that ran everything. She was the punisher. She was the one that was only like that fear. Like that was like the danger sign outside of a pool, like no lifeguard on duty. But my mom was the one that called the shots. But still, there was a fear of the macho. And there was this macho influence. And I learned, unfortunately, I learned that. I learned to be toxic masculinity that they call now. Because I can pull that rank on Christian, and I'm like, where is that coming from? Like, he's bigger than me. He's gonna kick my butt any minute now. But I'll still walk in and be like, what?
So
Why When I say goes,
Size doesn't always
it
matter.
doesn't
man.
work. It doesn't work. But does that make sense to you?
Yeah, well, yeah. My dad, the Hawaiian culture, it's a matriarchal kind of culture, so it's very much you look to the queen of your family to run things and to you make them happy, and that we learned that from a very young age. The women in your life, you treat them as royalty, and growing up. I realized that not everybody had that, as an example, and so I've taken that into my marriage where I very much honor what my wife she runs things like I mean I take care of the house. I take care of stuff during the day and everything like that, but I look to her and she and I have no problem doing that. I don't have this. I didn't grow up with this feeling of I need to be the man of the house. I need to control everything. Like
I get it.
I'm cool with co-opting. So it's I'm I don't know. I'm a little weird in that way, but I don't feel comfortable being a domineering macho kind of presence.
You guys are the younger ones. You're in a relationship, single, but you're still single. Does it affect you? Does that masculinity kick in all of a sudden? You're like, I'm the man of the house.
I think there's certain times where you need to pull that out, but like I didn't grow up in a with, like I said earlier, I didn't have a male figure in my life. I had my grandparents, but lived in another state. So I was raised by my mom in a pretty strict environment because I had an addict in the family too. So it was a very strict household. So I didn't really learn, everything I learned about masculinity is just from experiencing life, not from how I grew up. So I'm very go with the flow environment. And in my relationship, my girlfriend, she plans everything out meticulously. We'll have a trip 6 months from now and she'll have a document with an hour by hour breakdown. And I'm
Wow.
like, you do you, that's great. Just tell me where to go and what to pay for. And that's just the kind of relationship that I have, and that's how I go through life. Just kind of go with the flow. But if we need to decide on where to eat, I will make that decision.
Because don't you hate the where do you want to go eat conversation?
Yeah.
I don't know if you
We're
have
going
that.
here, damn it.
Yeah, that's one of my least favorite conversations. Where do you want to go eat? Because people ask me, and I always want to go to tacos.
What kind of question is that?
And it happens every day.
Yeah.
Like-
This is not an act. I am a taco fanatic. I do love tacos. It comes with being born in Mexico. One thing that I think we don't talk about a lot as guys is anger management. Is there any anger management within you, or do you know how to control yourself?
I think I'm pretty good with controlling myself. I definitely notice that stress affects all the negative, aspects of being in a relationship and your life and everything. So it definitely, high stress can definitely take a toll. I've really noticed that when I'm really busy and my girlfriend might not be as busy at the time, and she just passed the bar. Actually, she's a badass. So she just became an attorney officially.
Congratulations.
Yeah, that's
So a lot of
awesome.
this will change, but we went through phases where I was just, working really long days, really long weeks, and she didn't really have as much going on, and that definitely created, a little bit of resentment. And luckily, we had open conversations about it, which really helped. But I just kind of noticed in the end that a lot of that resentment that we all can have sometimes, that's really just on you, and you need to kind of take care of that and involve that person as well. But yeah, I think I'm pretty good with anger management, but I'm getting better with stress management. So I know that they're kind of intertwined, but I think the stress and pressure of running your own business definitely takes a toll on me more than it doesn't really translate to anger very often, at least.
I think when it comes to work, I do get upset and I vent about it because I have certain expectations, and I think the best tools you can give to your employee is knowledge, right? So when that's get done and you have the capability and you kind of know what to do, and that's not done properly, that upsets me. And you know, no in front of customers, anything like that. But I did let it go and had a good, you know, vent with employee at times. But at home, I it's completely different.
But Joe, I don't know. You guys would know better than me because when we're arguing or we're debating, it's two guys debating, and Christian and I can both be pretty outlaws. Like we want our space. Like I'll take out the trash. No, I'll take out the trash. I never argue about taking out the trash, but it's two guys arguing. We want to hold our space, and I think that's why we don't live together. We still have our separate homes, so that whenever I'm like, okay, like it's just like it's you, it's all you right now. I need to go back to my space. But as straight couples, do you feel equal? Does that make sense?
Yeah, you were talking about some like things that are kind of like female traits, like you hold grouch and like you bring up things that are from 7 years ago. So like we experience the same thing. Like I don't think the male and male, maybe it's a little different, but like the problem that you're talking about, I can relate to it, even though I'm in a relationship with a woman.
Right.
I honestly can't really say because I've never been with a man yet. But
Still time.
Never close the door.
For more information, call 555.
But it's been, I every time you talk about your experience with your partner, like I definitely relate to it, like things that I experienced with my wife.
We kind of ran out of time, guys. The hour went by really quick.
Jesus.
I know, right? But we don't want to end this up in just a bunch of guys complaining about complaining. There's always a silver lining. There's always a pink cloud that we can go to, and I think we all have things that we've learned, words of wisdom that we can share with people on how to have a better relationship. So why don't we start with on that side? Some words of wisdom, something that you can share with the guys watching on that you've learned in your relationship.
Do we have another hour? In a relationship, the goal is to make each other happy, right? It's to have a teamwork and together do the best thing be the best thing you can be. Now, when you argue and sometimes life can be frustrating, like just keep in mind that you guys have the same goal. At the end of the day, like that person loves you and has the best interest for you, and vice versa. It's not like I want this one or you want that one. It's just it really, like, keep in mind that the foundation of your relationship is based on love and the best interest for each other. Now, sometimes what I really learned, and it surprised me all the time, and my wife always proved me that she always had the best, even though it came across wrong, she meant well. Like, so if we step out of the situation a little bit and talk to her, communicating, it makes you see that, and then the anger goes away, and you actually feel love and maybe sorry for what you even thought about it. So that's what I can share with people.
In regards to relationships,
Yeah, whatever
Okay.
words of wisdom you have.
Yeah,
for
yeah.
folks.
Assuming you want the relationship to last and move forward, be present, pay attention to the small details. Full circle, as we said, assuming we've had that little time to decompress or whatever is unique to each individual person. If you're on your phone and they're trying to talk to you, put the phone down for a minute. Pay attention to them. Really listen. Here's a great tip too. Bring home flowers or chocolate on a Wednesday for no apparent reason. Bring little surprises.
Yeah, I agree with everything that's been said. I definitely, I can't relate to having kids. I would imagine that changes a lot of what we're talking about too. But yeah, I mean, keeping the communication open. I mean, it's always going to be a give and take with any relationship. So you're going to have to sacrifice some things, and I think being present, like Austin said, is very important. Being there, listening.
Yeah, I would say, kindness can be a macho thing. Like it doesn't have to, you don't have to cut off your kindness to be masculine. Those things aren't exclusive. You can open your heart and still be manly, and you can, you won't be less than.
So, my words of wisdom to you guys is, it's going to sound a little weird, but first of all, take care of yourself. Make sure that you're in a good spot. Make sure that you're in a good position. Make sure that you are doing what you need to do to put yourself in a good centered place. Once you are centered, then you can be there present for the other people. As far as your partner and the world around you, give the best of you and it'll come back to you. As all these guys have said, be present, be there. It's not unmacho to give a little bit of yourself or to be kind and tender to your partner. So just be kind to yourself, and that light will radiate towards other people. We ran out of time. I want to thank you guys for following us this hour. I want to thank the guys for having lunch with us today. Bring tacos, yes. Bring tacos on. That always was that.
Chocolate is good and flour tacos.
Kai, Kark, Austin, and Gio, thank you so guys for joining me today. This has been an amazing conversation. I hope you guys enjoyed it. For now, this is Daniel G. Garza saying thank you, and hey, go have lunch with the guys. See you guys next time.